Today we have a great topic. We're going to talk about making virtualization a vacation. So we'll talk about how to explore saving time with a hyper-converged infrastructure so you can get that much needed break. So we have a great topic. It requires great guests. And I got two of them here for you. So he is your friend and he is your friend and mine. He is batting first. He is the Senior Director of Marketing from Scale Computing. Please welcome Dusty Kokenberg.
Thanks, Jeff. We're excited to be back.
Yes.
Good, man. Excited to be back in Austin, back with our Spiceworks friends, and here with our customer Jose from Classic Hotels. So,
so just everybody knows who you are. But if you want to remind some of the newbies and then tell them a fun fact, because this is our first show in studio since before the lockdown, so March 2020.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If you can give a fun fact of maybe you learned a new language or maybe you took up a new hobby.
I can do that, yeah. So been in the marketing department with Scale Computing for 12 years, kind of grown up in my career here and been working with the Spiceworks crew pretty much that whole time. So again, like I said, it's exciting to be back. Something I learned during the pandemic, I purchased a 33-foot RV, and so I grew up camping, so I didn't have to learn how to camp, but what I did have to learn was how to drive that sucker, through the barriers and the construction of Indiana, going to the state parks, so that's probably the funnest thing that I learned.
That's awesome. And you should do a podcast out of the back of it, and I already got the name for you. Dusty on the Roads. So you got that little wrestling thing going on, and then you can just do a podcast.
I would love to do that. I've learned that the work from home or work from anywhere thing, these state parks, I swear they have something that stops the internet because you cannot get service in these things.
Yeah, it's just somebody in there just like, enjoy nature.
Right, exactly.
Turn that device off.
Exactly right.
Well, welcome. Great seeing you as always. And batting cleanup. He is the Senior Systems and Network Engineer from Classic Hotels and Resorts. Please welcome Jose Solis. Jose, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
Good, how are you, John?
Good to see you in real life. So there it is. Fist bump. So tell the peeps a little bit about yourself and a fun fact of something that you've learned in the past couple of years. Maybe learned in bake bread. Everybody's baking bread. Did you bake bread?
Actually, yeah, you'd be surprised. I've been working for Classic Hotels for the last 6 years, going into 6 years now. However, I've been in the hospitality industry for 20 years, 25 years in the IT, as an IT professional. And fun fact, would be how much I love cooking.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. However, don't tell my wife because...
Well, we have maybe a cooking-related giveaway that maybe you can see if you can submit.
That's exciting.
So well, welcome. So we have another surprise. So you guys saw the movie Ghostbusters, right? Do you remember No Dana, Only Zool? Well, today it's the opposite. It's all Dana, no Zool. You know her as the Queen of Spice World. Please welcome Dana Moberly. Dana.
Thank you. Yes, no Zool. No Zool. Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
So great. It's an honor. It's an honor to be your chat desk host today.
I'm in real life.
So happy to be here.
Yes, do the reach.
Anyway, let's get to the good stuff. You've got questions, we've got answers. That's what the chat desk is for. So we want you to get involved in that Q&A. And why do you want to get involved in that Q&A? Because we have some great prizes to give away today. So we have 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 solo stoves. That's right, a stove on the go.
Yeah.
Who doesn't need a stove on the go? I mean, Dusty says amazing things about this. So courtesy of Scale Computing, and it sounds amazing. So a stove on the go, and then a grand prize winner. We're gonna have a grand prize. One lucky attendee will get, and I think I see some gamers out there. No, I'm certain I see some gamers out there. A Scepter 30-inch curved gaming monitor. That's sweet. That's sweet. So get those questions into the Q&A. We wanna see them. And then one lucky attendee will get that grand prize. Now, we also have the community poll. So if you checked out the community poll, the topic this time around was, what would you do with your spare time if HCI virtualization handled the bulk of the work for you? Spare time, IT pros? I don't know. We're gonna find out what you said in the poll.
Yes.
All right, back to you, Jeff.
All right, thank you, Dana. And yeah, this is exciting. It's just like you always bring that energy. You have the Spice World glow, and I feel like you just bring it with you. So yeah, it's coming. It is
We're
coming.
excited to see you all there, or virtually, whichever you choose.
Yes, you can do both. All right, so let's get let's get the pipes loose, all right? Let's do a little icebreaker segment. So, we're talking about saving time today. So, judging, say if you were given the day off at the last minute and you trust that everything is going to be working fine, what would you do with that time? Dusty, we'll start with you.
So I'll give a generic answer, but honestly, nothing. I think from my perspective, one of the things that in the pandemic and working from home is that it's actually made me a little bit more 24/7, available all the time. And so really just shutting all devices down, getting in nature, go for a walk on the beach, the typical whatever people put on their dating profiles. I think it's really just sitting back and probably sitting in an empty room with nothing on and sitting in silence.
That's doing something. Remember in Shrek, we're like, why don't you go do something you never get to do? And they show them next scene, they're just passed out in a nap.
Yeah.
It's like, that is doing
It's like
something.
meditation. Everybody tells you to meditate, and you're like, yeah, but meditation's work when you actually go to do it. So.
When you have to try. So, Jose, same question. Last minute, you're saying, you know what? Take the day off. Everything's going to work fine. You don't
Never.
need
That's never going to happen.
Never.
Actually, yeah, I can relate to that, Dusty. Myself, again, it's just having more time, to spend with the family. It's even more than the last 2 years that we had all together, and, being forced to. But,
Being forced. You're right.
But you know what? It's always challenging, having calls in the middle of the night, having to resolve issues. It goes with the nature of IT. But having that extra time for yourself, for your family, it's always good.
You do need something, like I know, like we were talking about meditation, like in yoga, like if you have your hand in like one position for too long, they'll like just go like this. You need that little bit of contrast just to kind of keep everything loose. And I think we need that mentally now more than ever, right? I feel like we all went a little mad, right?
We went a little mad. And I think some of my executives went a little mad because they weren't on airplanes all the time. And so it's like Slack, hey, what are you guys doing over there? You got anything we can do?
Do you got anything I can read?
Yeah, exactly.
I need some swag. So, all right, let's get into it. So, Jose, you were talking about it. So, free time, right? So what could be rewarding and challenging about working in IT for a chain of premier hotels?
Right. I guess I'll start with the downside. Hospitality is one of those industries that it never stops. I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate to that same feel. But unlike other industries, for us, there's we're always 24/7.
Yeah.
Working 365 days a year. It's not like you can shut down the doors and say to your customers, "Turn away." You got to keep going. However, I've had the experience of working with great professionals in my field, and one of the benefits of working for Classic Hotels is that being a family-owned company, with years of experience, gained from the execs that have moved from other big chain hotels coming on board for this company that has that entrepreneurial spirit and freedom to do things. And then they give us that ability to obviously turn it around. And sometimes we got to build things from the ground up, and do what's best for the company, for the business, for our users, and for our guests. And that is with great benefit.
Yeah. So what would you say is the most time-consuming aspect of managing your IT infrastructure?
Administration.
Admin.
A lot of time spent on troubleshooting, diagnostics, finding the needle in the hay of that issue that you don't know what it is, but you gotta dig through the logs and everything to find what it is, or give you an idea as far as where's that
It's
problem.
the forensic work, right? Of just
exactly.
like having a reverse engineer, and then you have to, that's cutting into your time, for your troubleshooting time, or your future forecasting or rebuilding time. So, Dusty, with from your experience, like there's more demands than ever being placed on IT infrastructures, right? So what are some of the drawbacks of those traditional computing systems that you would say, from your opinion?
Yeah, so I think you just asked a question we could probably spend the rest of the next hour on, to tell you the truth. But, if you look at virtualization at a high level and what it was built to do, it didn't have the infrastructure that it really needed. When you look at, you're taking servers and you're bringing in NAS and SAN, and then you're bolting onto the hypervisor, you're building a Rube Goldberg machine. And when you're building that Rube Goldberg machine, you're causing points of failure throughout that thing, and then you're also putting an extreme amount of pressure on the IT professional to be an expert at each individual one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now as we look at where the world's going with what you hear as edge computing, getting the applications available where they need to be on-prem, you've got to start to expand that infrastructure and putting in more boxes. And so now you're growing the footprint. And most of these things are outside of the traditional data center.
Right.
You're running in hot, dirty, small backroom closets. You never really know where this stuff's going to be put. And traditional IT infrastructure was not built for that.
No.
And so with the hyperconverged solution, you're getting a put together appliance that's purposely built for virtualization. Looking at how scale computing used the storage layer and built from the ground up. The old infrastructure, I'm sure Jose can speak to it. That's probably what he babysits the most is that old, Rube Goldberg machine that's bolted together.
Right, we got to Frankenstein this global thing of virtualization where you have the compute nodes, the storage nodes, the networking portion, having to set it up and making sure that firmwares match with whatever manufacturer says. Sometimes you got to go back and forth between who makes the hypervisor and who makes the servers and who makes the networking, and they're pointing fingers at each other.
Right.
It's not fun.
Yeah, I felt like, because there's the whole push, you're moving everything. Having server rooms in janitor closets, we've seen it. It's like a real thing, and now it was never designed for it, and now it's like server rooms are shrinking. They're going back to the janitor closets. It's like, no, it's not designed for that. Right. So you can't have that. So Jose, what are some of the tricks that you can share for simplifying management of your virtual machines?
Well, what I've done personally is creating templates of the virtual machines that are, that I need to deploy most often. But I mean, that's being used in virtualization for a long time. However, scale computing makes it so easy to deploy a new machine even from the get-go.
Right.
All you got to do is load up your ISOs and spin up new machines, and it takes you all but 10 minutes. Now, if somebody requires less time than that, and then just build your own templates, have them ready to clone and get them deployed within a matter of seconds, literally.
Yeah, and seconds mean hours. You need every little second does count in today's world. So Dusty, how is the HC3 hyperconverged infrastructure engineered to reduce complexity or reduce management time?
Yeah, so Jose touched on a little bit of it, and there's a tagline that scale computing kind of lives by, and we have in marketing. It's simplicity engineered, and that's the way that we look at how the product is developed. So again, with how virtualization was originally developed and brought to market, we took a blank slate from the engineering team and said, if we're going to build this, how should it be built? And so really looking at the storage layer, making that storage layer work with that hypervisor was one of the key things. And then we started to listen to the customer and say, we could come out with this massive feature set, and we took a look at some of the competitors that were doing virtualization, and we asked them, what features are you using, and what features are nice to have, but you wouldn't really need. And so we started to develop the product honed in on the smaller IT department that has 1 to 5 guys that's not going to have that expert in it. So there's that piece, and then also a lot of work on the UI and the remote management. So how you're able to log in through an HTML5 browser, basically pointing to an IP address to each separate cluster, and remotely managing that system opens up a whole new way of doing work and not having to actually be on site and doing that. So.
And we were talking about a little bit of this yesterday, a lot of people, we're doing all this with a reduced staff. Most of our IT staffs are, overworked and understaffed. So having, we need the digital assistant, the digital backend helping us, we don't need someone like Clippy. We need somebody that's actually going to help us with that digital building.
And
so,
to add to that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Is the HCI is mature now. Obviously, that's a technology that has been out there for a while. However, the companies that we touch base on from the beginning, they're used to dealing with the multi-million-dollar investments, and is not for everybody. I mean, scale has a little bit of that tune as far as simplicity, but also being able to be affordable, because that's what it is. Not necessarily just because you just want to replace computers and storage and consolidate them. You also bringing down the cost of licensing and everything to down to the investment, the total cost of ownership, the solution.
Yeah, and again, when you don't have the staff to do that, in a way, it's a way to justify the cost, and if it's already affordable, it's just like, look, this could take the place of hiring, a couple more people that actually need to do this on staff. So you're actually, we've done it before, had to talk to your CFO, but I think that's just kind of now naturally built into this system, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, it's not even the cost savings to a point where you can hire additional people. It's actually looking at who's on staff and the things that they're actually focusing on a daily basis. So, you have 3 to 5 guys, and 3 of those individuals are literally babysitting that hardware every day, or doing the patch Tuesdays and having to come in on off hours and doing all that type of stuff. You can now focus those 3 individuals onto implementing new applications, new technologies that's actually going to affect the bottom line for the organization.
Right. I mean, there's companies that have dedicated staff just for the storage, dedicated staff just for the nodes, dedicated staff just for the hypervisor. So.
Right. And you're noticing with the scale computing platform, it's affecting the time you spend on management and administration, like it's saving you time.
It takes away from me babysitting the solution. I can delegate this to my techs to do simple things such as rebooting, making minor changes and things like that.
And and especially in today's work environment, right? It's just like now a lot of times kind of like we got all spread out and everybody is everywhere. So you literally, like you said it right, like we don't have the luxury like we used to, not everybody, right, to afford to babysit devices. We need the stuff to actually to be smarter on the back end to do our job. And, they literally have our back, right, and just watching us. So we can't.
And may I say, doing updates, click it. Done.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I bet you can't do that with your current.
Right? Bet you can't do that. So Dusty, how does scale computing ensure that critical systems stay up and running, speaking of updates?
Yeah, so I'm sure the scale computing product team that's maybe on this call is like, oh no, Dusty's getting ready to put his product hat on, this could get dangerous. But ultimately, it really comes down to the state machines that are inside of the technology. So those state machines are monitoring thousands of conditions over time, and that state machine is constantly looking to make itself better. And so as hardware is looking like it's going to fail, or any little glitch that we're seeing in those thousands of conditions, it's automatically starting to make moves, and it's getting ready to either make the shift for you, move the VM as needed, or it's alerting the IT manager to prepare them that, hey, get ready. And I think Jose can probably speak to this. I think maybe a lot of times by the time he's actually getting the alert, the system has probably already fixed what it needed to fix.
Yep.
And now he has to log in and maybe move a few things around, maybe replace a drive or whatever that may be, but the system is built to do all that. So it's kind of where you were getting at a little bit ago. I think it's the true set it and forget it
and
scenario.
which what we need. And it sounds like you have precogs in your machine. Or do you have a pre-crime division?
Yeah.
That digital crimes that are building there, and they're actually predicting when something's going to happen. And it literally is going that way, right? It's funny, you think of Minority Report, but it sounds like where the technology is getting there, where we don't have to worry about it, because it's starting to actually have that predictive, this is not looking good.
Right.
So, and that's perfect for I feel like everybody now is in that 24/7, 365, right? It used to be before that it was just segmented to certain industries that like we cannot afford the downtime. But I feel like now there's just this new generation of expectations of like, why is this not up? It's been down for 10 seconds. It's just like, no, I feel like we're all dealing with that now.
Yeah, and in a day and age where we're getting bombarded with alerts from endpoint protection, I have other solutions that actually I need to keep an eye on. They're more critical because of the state of the situation right now with the ransomware and the different attacks that we're getting. That adding to that, additional alerts from something else is just
Yeah. And our friends out there, the community, they can tell us, right? It's just like, what's the visual interpretation of the alerts in your inbox? Like, get one of those paintbrush guns where you press the triggers, it's just smacking you in the face the entire time. It feels like that. So smarter alerts is better. It's just like more of an FYI. Hey, don't worry, we took care of this, but here it is. Versus just like, you need to get your ass downtown and go do something about this, and you're like, then you start scrambling. So that's the dream, man. You're building the dream. You're a dream builder.
Yeah, hopefully we've been delivering the dream for our end users for about 12 years now.
Yeah.
And only looking to make that better.
This is the part where you sing a Willy Wonka song because you're making dreams come true.
I should have worn my orange. I could have played the
Yeah,
Oompa Loompa,
right?
So, yeah.
All right. So one more question. So either one of you, do you have anything you want to add about that Scales HC3 virtualization platform?
From my perspective, being the marketing guy, we're not done yet by any means. Being an HCI vendor, virtualization vendor, we're moving into the edge computing world, and we're able to bring the benefits of HCI as you have seen it out of the data center. And with cloud-like capabilities, we're bringing it down onto very small footprints. The Intel NUC being one of those. Our HE500 system, which is a 1U half-depth rack. We have a lot of opportunity to look at new things there. And so that's one thing that next month you'll see coming from an alliance announcement, as well as there is a new software update that will be coming toward the end of May, and it's going to include more management, even outside of what Jose sees today, around fleet management and
nice.
Tens, hundreds, thousands of locations where these potential Intel NUCs are sitting running your HCI system. How that interface is going to look, how you see those, how you touch those, and are able to get in with second half of the year, more features coming in that.
That sounds great.
Software piece.
And I love the efficiency of just thinking that it's just like it's running on these NUCs here. So it's just a very, very light footprint. So maybe it could run a NUC in a janitor closet.
You definitely could. I've actually seen some very interesting places that end users have put it. We actually have a manufacturing, and this is the wild thing with Edge. You think, Edge is 10, 100, thousands of locations. We actually have a manufacturing customer that has multiple HE150 systems running inside of one building because he's got all these machines, and now he's using it to collect PLC data and et cetera. But he's sent me some pictures of where he has these three things stacked, and I'm like, ooh. Just it's all good. We'll just let it keep going.
Photoshop by any chance?
So yeah,
Is that real?
We're excited to see where the Edge is going to take us, and
Edge
what
taking
we
us
can
to
do
the
there.
edge. It sounds very dramatic. Let's see where the Edge takes us.
That's right, for sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, so we're about halfway through. So this is the part where I want to say it so bad. I'm a Entourage guy, and when Dana Gordon, but no, it's not Dana. So Dana, I know we did a community poll that you want to tell us about.
We did indeed. We did do a community poll, and hopefully you had a chance to check that out and get your vote in. Community poll topic, speaking of virtualization, what would you do if virtualization handled the bulk of work for you? So that was the community topic. And let's check out the options. So you had the options to vote on handling other daily tasks I've been putting off, okay, taking a much needed vacation, and focusing on a new project.
Oh, wow.
So those were the three options.
So you got some go-getters in there?
Yeah, I got some go-getters.
They're just hungry for more?
I need a vacation, absolutely. But by a landslide, the winner was handling other daily tasks I've been putting off.
Oh, yeah. I think we can all relate to that, right? It's just like there's never enough time. Like the whiteboard is like you need it to be digital. You can't keep it on there long enough, and then there's always something else. It's like scooping that oatmeal, and you scoop it, and then it just fills back in. You scoop it, and then it just fills back in. It's just like it's never ending. So, but that's a good poll. But I don't know. Well, we know you take a vacation because you got a 33-foot rig that you're going to be driving around, dusty on the roads.
Yeah, so it's, I think it's interesting that was the leading answer. And I think the reason that that's the leading answer is because it's back to how, there's not enough resources in IT. And so those, those to-do lists are growing not only for the IT manager, but them being able to allow their, the other folks in their department to be able to do that work and shift them over there. So the reason I think the IT manager probably answered that way is because that affects the bottom line of the company.
Right.
And ultimately, that's what they're going to be measured against. So.
Yeah, and I feel like, it's still a relatively young industry compared to other industries. And I feel like the right sizing that's happened, it's just like they've had these big sweeping changes. Like, we need so many admins. Like, maybe you can just do it with one and just throw it in the cloud and just like, now you're dealing with people that may not understand the technology, but just they have the need, and they don't really need to understand the technology. They just want it to, like, I turn the light switch on, the light comes on. I don't know what you do in between there to make that happen, but you make that happen. So I don't know if that's what you're dealing with, because you said it was somewhat of your classic hotels and resorts, that was somewhat of a startup kind of feel. So it was mom and pop versus like a big chain, like where they started versus where they're going.
Correct. Yeah. The same feeling, the whole, I guess, sense of maturity that we want to go to is just feel like, the big companies, we have our data centers, we also have our share of cloud-based applications that for one reason or another we move to the cloud, and it does make sense.
Right.
But for us at least, there's a lot of applications that must stay on-prem, and for those, we need simplicity, we need scalability, we need to scale out, just adding more nodes. But also one thing that I guess we forgot to mention is, the whole technology concept is great, and we've seen it that it works great on the PowerPoint presentations, but having a great company with the support to back that up, that is awesome, and Scale has delivered on that end.
It's right in the name.
A single point of contact for the hypervisor, whatever issues you may have, for your backups if you have any particular concerns or questions, and I've never been left stranded there.
That's worth so much. That's priceless.
We hear it from almost every one of our customers. Support, and this is from CEO all the way down from the beginning of the company, was support is as much a part of the product as much as any engineering into the software, any development of the hardware that's chosen. Support is absolutely top of mind. We understand that our end users don't have a ton of resources, and we want to be there to support that. And it's the one back to pat, one throat to choke scenario, because we own the whole stack, and so we've got the tier ones and up all the way through. And just real quick too, as we were talking about resources and the things that are being asked of IT. The number of applications that are being asked to be deployed at the moment is mind-boggling. And you can look at the service industry where Jose's at. You can look at retail. Retail's now in a battle. We had 2 years that nobody went in a store, and they've got to figure out how to get those folks back. And so you now have customer experience people. You have marketing people. They're like, hey, we need to run these applications. And IT guys like, great, I'm gonna have to put another pizza, box in somewhere. I don't know how I'm gonna do this.
Right.
We'll just run it in the cloud. Well, marketing, sir, I'm sorry, but this application is going to cause 4 potential things for us, and this is where we get into the edge play. There's gonna be a huge data explosion from your application.
Right.
Your application cannot have latency from the cloud because it needs to be in real time. It needs to be super resilient and up at all times. And now we're taking facial recognition. We're collecting all this information from their personal devices. We're now running into legal issues to where this data can't move from on-prem up to a cloud across the network. So it's just the need for applications is mind-boggling. It's coming from everyone now.
Oh yeah.
You
have 50 people with one app that are coming to you, and you're having to deal with all of those,
Exactly.
not just their one that they're thinking about.
Yep.
So that's something we can all relate to. So Dana, speaking of relate to, we can relate to our friends out there in the community. They have questions. They want that sweet stove. They want that tricked out monitor.
That's right.
Yeah. So
That's right. Let's get to the questions.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. We're ready.
Like I said, you've got questions. We've got the answers. So first question up from the audience. With ransomware and cybersecurity a major concern for us IT leaders, what does Scale Computing offer or have plans for regarding this concern?
Yeah, so cybersecurity and ransomware comes up everywhere, obviously a massive topic. You know, from the scale computing side, there's some inherent technology that's built into the system with our snapshots that, you know, allow for protection against that. We also have a great alliance partnership that we're doing with Acronis around some backup and their Acronis cloud storage. And I have also brought a product manager as a service here. So I think if
product manager as a service,
if Mitch is joining us up here in the cloud,
I think
there's
Mitch. Are you there?
Mitch can maybe touch on the Acronis relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Dusty. So
that's cool.
Yes, we have a great relationship with Acronis, which, as many of you may know, started out originally as a backup company. But what we've seen is they've put a ton of investments around making a move to cyber protection more generally. And a lot of those investments were around anti-ransomware, anti-malware technology that's built right into the product already being used by, you know, a lot of Scale customers as well as Acronis customers more broadly. So that partnership, as well as our own native snapshotting technology, really, you know, is a great way to protect against things like cyber security threats, malware, ransomware, all that stuff.
That's awesome. I can't believe you really digitized them, just like Tron.
You know, Mitch saves, he's my CYA quite often, so yeah.
They just call him down.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think we should probably maybe even toss it to Jose to look at what he's using. He's got a few different scenarios here.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, we have a threefold approach to that. We leverage the built-in automated capabilities of snapshots on the HCI core appliances. So we automate that process on a nightly basis. There's even a few servers we do snapshots like every few hours, you know, because of the pure nature of the data they're storing. And then on top of that, we forward the data over to the cloud. There's another scale computing product called Cloud Unity, where we replicate that data to our cloud and obviously have an additional, if for whatever reason, you know, we have another issue that we were to lose our entire data centers, we have protection of that data in the cloud. And then in addition to that, we also have Acronis to do on-prem backups with the ability, if we wanted, also to replicate those backups to the cloud. So I guess there was always a backup to the backup of the backup.
So what you're saying is you like to sleep at night.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Well, I've done my due diligence when it comes to ransomware, so obviously we learn from our mistakes. And that's what
it's something we're all dealing with.
So in short, I think we've got multiple options, and I like to keep my options. Thank you, Mitch, for being
thank you, Mitch,
being the eye in the sky for me there.
I keep looking up. It's like, is it really up there? So Dana, do we have more questions?
We absolutely do.
All right,
so
let's
our
do it.
next question, next up, is from Dim Forrest.
Dim! Let's hear it for Dim.
All right. Does Scale integrate with services like AWS and Azure to leverage as offsite snapshot repositories?
It is a good question. It's the typical kind of hybrid cloud approach. And Mitch, if you're still with me, I think I'm going to throw it back to the product manager.
Call it to
on
the
this
clouds.
one.
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, I'm probably going to talk about Acronis as a great way to leverage public cloud storage as a repository for backups through Acronis cyber infrastructure. It's really easy to target, you know, both Acronis is cloud, but then also the mainstream public clouds like AWS and Google and Azure to hold cold storage for backups. There are some things we can do as well on the support side to help automate exports of our native snapshots to non-scale targets like NASs and stuff. Additionally, just for added flexibility there.
All right. Yeah, Mitch knows his stuff.
He does.
He knows his stuff.
That's why I bring him.
All right, next question.
All right.
Now, this is a heavy-hitting one,
All
so
right.
I hope you're all
Let's put our
prepared.
helmets on.
Okay, it comes from Spice Lord.
The Spice Lord. What's
Spice
up,
Lord
man?
asks,
There he is.
question for Dusty. Is it difficult to keep his head baby butt smooth? And what products does he use?
Well,
You know, he could be right up the street, too. You never know with him.
And it's back to the as a service. It is the Dollar Shave Club. You go with the 6-blade, and just about every day, you know. Plus, we have a beautiful makeup artist that's sitting off to the side here.
Right.
That definitely helped make all of this look how it's supposed to. So.
That sounds exactly like the question I would expect from him.
So true.
Good here.
All right. Are we ready for another one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All
We're
right.
ready.
This is from Shavar. I'm going to go R, like pirate. Shavar. We are looking to see if HCI will be a good fit for DR as a use case. Do you have use cases of HCI in DR?
So I think we can probably shoot that one right.
We got
to
one right
Jose.
here.
Yeah.
We got one right here.
Here's our case study. So.
Yeah, definitely. I would say go for it. I mean, we have it again in a way that we're replicating our data to the cloud as a DR solution. We have tested it with great success. Where if for whatever reason we were to lose any of our cluster nodes to spin up those virtual machines that we replicated to the cloud with great success. They even look like if they're on your same network, they can be set up to be easily turned on and re-enable your services, in a matter of technically minutes.
Perfection. That's, again, time is money.
Yes,
Literally,
sir.
time. That has not changed. A lot of things change, but time is still money.
All right.
Alrighty.
Here we go.
We're ready.
Ed IT writes,
Oh, Ed, what's up, Ed?
what's up, Ed? Yeah. We have multiple locations connected via fiber. Would you suggest having the main virtual servers at the main location and use the branches for redundancy and backups?
So I think you've got multiple locations running, and you can speak to that one.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, in the beginning, when we first architect this whole thing with HCI, what we did is we had one of our sister sites, which is located in the same city where we have our corporate office, set up to be our DR site. We were replicating that data over. And the pipe that we had in between, even though it wasn't dark fiber, the direct connection, it was fast enough to have data replicated, pretty often and as needed. And we tested it, and it was, another great success. Eventually, when we moved to the product with Cloud Unity, we migrated those replicated VMs over to the cloud, and that, replace that setup that we had before. But if that is one of your options, then I will go for it, definitely.
I like the idea of leveraging any multiple location situation to leverage that as somewhat of a DR. I think that's a slam dunk. If you have it, 100% use it. All right, Dana, we have time for a couple more.
I think
Let's
we do.
it, yeah.
Yeah, so next one up on deck is from MCSB.
All right.
Shout out.
Shout
out for the question. Hi, I just want to ask if you also need to do a preventative maintenance on virtualization, and what do you usually do? I'm a newbie to these things, and thank you.
Oh, all right. Welcome. So yeah, that's what we're here. We're here to help. So what kind of maintenance
Yeah,
are you?
definitely. Well, I mean, your VMs, especially because, we're 99% Microsoft shop, which means we have a lot of Windows servers. Those do require, just like any other physical virtual machine, to be patched and monitor and be scrubbed every so often. But as far as the hypervisor, if with scale, if you have a multiple node cluster, when you hit that upgrade button, the system automatically makes the movements of those machines over to the other nodes, so that each of them is being upgraded as needed to the latest and greatest version. And then, when they're brought back online, they start, staging those VMs over to those upgraded nodes, and then they continue doing the upgrade and so forth. In reality, for the amount of time that we had this solution, I've never seen it where, we run into a hiccup or anything like that. It just works.
That's always good to hear. You got a man in the sky, you got a man in the box.
Rolling upgrades, yeah.
You just get it going.
That's right.
We talk about it all the time of changing the tire while the car is
I
moving.
can remember when I first started at Scale Computing, and if there's some Scale folks on here, there was a butler in a box. Data center butler in a box is what it was. So, yep, he's still there.
Yeah, still there. He's still working. That's good.
right.
That's good. All right, Dana, let's keep them rolling.
Last question. I think this is the last one for today.
All right.
Jerry H. writes, is HCI cost effective for a small business? I have 2 ESX hosts now.
Yes. yes, it is. Again, you have different options out there in the market, and some of those are more targeting, the bigger multi-million-dollar businesses. But with Scale, we found a place where even a single node can create a cluster. Granted, obviously, there's some things that you wouldn't be able to do, such as doing a live update. You will need to shut down your VMs to do the updates on those single cluster nodes. However, in your case, if you're able to purchase a couple of nodes or 3 nodes to create your base cluster, eliminating your compute nodes and storage for those HCI clusters, then it will be a very cost-effective solution.
And I think with Scale Computing, we talked about this earlier, but with the overhead that our software requires to run the HCI portion of it being so low, you can start with very small systems. So you can build what you need today with the ability to scale up and scale out to what you need. The system is built that you have a 3-node cluster and you need more. You just slide another one in, and it's going to pool the storage, pool the resources together, recognize that, and do what it needs to. So that's one of the unique offerings of Scale Computing is start where you need. Don't over provision on hardware or anything else, and get started.
Nice. I like to think of it as like when you put it in the nano build, like the Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
And just like when you put it in, it's like, yeah, it'll figure out what to do.
Right.
The butler in the box, he's got a bunch of bots that'll do this stuff for him.
Yeah.
Dana, these are great questions. I want to give one more. Those are sweet, sweet gifts, and we want to give everyone a swing.
I'm in agreement, and I think we can go to one more. We've got
let's do it.
The Repair Trooper writes, question for Jose. What were the biggest challenges in gaining buy-in from management on virtualization? It's a good one.
The biggest gainings, obviously, again, is just having additional time. But I guess to understand the question correctly, are they asking if what it took me to get the buy-in from management?
Correct. Yeah.
Again, because we went through a lot of issues with ransomware and other cybersecurity issues. When the upper management started seeing that they needed to invest more on our foundation, the guts of the IT infrastructure, and they start seeing, once we set up this new system, and they start seeing, how we're able to do the testing and how we're able to recover a virtual machine in a matter of minutes. That's when, obviously, again, time the value of money. That's when they decided, all right, so if last time when we had an issue, it took us 2 days to rehydrate that back up and put it back into a failed system, and you bring that down to a few minutes or hours, that is a saving.
Yeah, I mean, like, you watch it pay for itself when you get it done in minutes. And when it feels like magic to upper management, you got your money's worth. So
exactly.
That's great. So, Dana, thank you so much. Those were great questions. As we can hear with all those questions, we got a lot of choices. So before we go, I want to put some choices on you guys with the segment we're going to call Would You Rather? All right, and just to clarify, this is going to be the non-gross version of Would You Rather if you have not played Would You Rather since like 5th grade. So yeah, basically it's just similar to that game. We're given 2 different priorities and benefits, and then you will choose which carries more weight when selecting. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so we'll start. So would you prefer a vendor owned by an A-list celebrity star, or a vendor that includes a dog photo in every alert and email? Ooh, tough one.
So I can go first. I think from my perspective, A-list celebrities carry a lot of baggage and a lot of things you don't need. So I'm going to go with the dog pictures, because that likely means that vendor is able to take care of something in life and actually keep it alive. So
Man, you actually gave a deep answer to that too. That's perfect. Yeah, it's just like, who's ever been angry and be like, oh man, another dog photo?
Right.
Words never uttered.
That's right.
Yeah,
So Jose, what do you think? The
I would
same
agree
thing?
with Dusty on that. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, celebrities, and there's definitely a lot of baggage.
I love my Fido and my,
There you go. And maybe all those messages we're getting, if there was a dog photo, and you're like, oh, all right, I'll get this done just for you. All right, so next one. Would you prefer a smaller vendor that promises 50% cost savings or 50% time savings? Time versus cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say time. Yeah,
Time.
definitely. Cost savings, those are upfront. But time overall, time can mean many things.
Yeah.
And a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there, a lot of time over there, can turn into a lot of savings.
Yeah, absolutely agree right there.
Yeah, you can't create more time, you can create more money, so they say.
Yeah.
But I think also when you're gaining more time, you can shift that into the savings.
Right.
So you can almost twofold that.
Yeah, and time, especially when you're actually fixing something that's broken.
Exactly.
Time it'll stand still. Like I had a non-digital issue that I had to deal with over the break that I was just like, I'm going to replace the faucets and all this, and I didn't realize those things. If you give it too much of a turn, it broke. And literally I had the water in the hand, and I went outside, and then I broke the city cutoff too. So the water wouldn't stop. So I was literally on the plumber, and I was like, I'm literally dumping the water into. It's like time at that time stood still. I was like, oh, what do I do? So yeah, I would also go with time. So, although I spent a lot of money.
You were drowning.
I literally was drowning. It was just like a terrible commercial. So cool. Well, great conversation, guys. Thank you so much. But Dana, it is time. It is time. It is time.
It's time.
Yes.
Let's announce our winners.
Yes.
The moment we've been waiting for. All right, so we've got 3 winners for that awesome solo stove. So that's right, you can boil water in 10 minutes. You can move your fire pit around. That's what this wonderful thing is. All right, let's announce those winners. Our first winner is Shavar. You won. All right. Next winner number 2, Ed IT.
Oh, Ed, congrats.
Great job, Ed. And last but not least, MCSB. You won one of those awesome Stolo stoves.
Welcome to the industry with a sweet gift.
Woo-hoo. Okay, grand prize winner.
Yes.
Grand prize winner time.
Ooh.
Grand prize winner of the Scepter 30-inch curved gaming monitor is the one and only Jamie9742.
All right. Congrats, Jamie. Very cool. Very cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay, I think we can turn it back over to y'all.
It's coming to us. All right, thank you, Dana, and thank you guys for great questions. This hour flew by. I know, like I said, we could have probably made this like an all-day telethon with this topic, but unfortunately, we do have to cut it off at our 6 minutes. So, Jose, I'll start with you, and Dusty, I'm going to give you the last words. Any final words that you want to leave on the topic about making that virtualization a vacation?
I would say that if you have it in your projects, to look at HCI as a replacement to your what we would call, the traditional way of virtualizing, you should definitely take a hard look at, scale computing.
Okay.
I can't say enough of the many good, things and benefits that we brought from it. Obviously, adding on to our arsenal of different IT tools that we have in place.
All right. Cool. Does anything you want to add, that last word?
I think it's to Jose's point. If you're looking at HCI and you feel like it's too expensive, or you're not big enough for it, just look at the alternatives. Scale computing is an alternative to those large offerings out there, and get started, get your feet in, start with the smaller systems, knowing that you're future-proofing yourself with your infrastructure by using scale computing with the scalability. No pun intended, we have to say that all the time, but there's a lot behind that
It's in the name, it's in the
quite
name.
honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in closing, thanks to Jose for coming on and being a valued customer to us, and thanks to the Spiceworks team.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. That was a great conversation. Again, we got our first show in the books, so let's hear it for the cast and crew here that made everything happen. First show in the books. I think we're good to go. And thank you in the community, because obviously without you, this show wouldn't be possible. But let's keep the conversation going. Find us in the community. Find Dusty. Find Jose. Find Scale in the community. Or guess what? Join us IRL for Spice World 20. You're going to be there, right? You got
Yep.
Scale will be there at Spice World 20. Is there anything you want to add to that, Dana? Just like, yeah, mark it right now.
September 28th through 30th.
Yes.
We want to see you there.
It's a double. It's a virtual and it's
That's it.
IRL. So you get the
2 in 1.
best of both worlds. So yeah, as always, the conversation really never stops when we're talking tech here. So again, thank you everybody for joining us. And I will see you out there in the community. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to tech yourself before you wreck yourself. We'll see you next time.